evening, everyone. And of course, you're listening to Omnibus Roundtable Television with an exclusive interview with a renowned Black Harvard-trained psychiatrist who has a story that everybody in this world should hear about, and particularly everybody in this world that happens to be calling themselves Black or something they're a part of. Dr. Van Johnson, it is just a privilege to have an opportunity to interview you. I'd like to start off this, which is going to be the beginning of a series of shows, each becoming more detailed. And containing more specificity into how and under what circumstances you wrote the book, The Legal Lynching of a Black Psychiatrist.
Yes.
So why don't we just start a little bit? Let's tell them a little bit about your education, your background, where you're from, where you're at now. And a little bit about yourself. We'll go about 4 or 5 minutes on that. And then we'll go into the details of what happened to you.
I want to thank you for having me on your show this evening. And Ms. Wanda and Lionel, thank you both. I think it's a high privilege to appear before an audience, TV audience, and to explain this phenomenon. Now, I'm a native of Chicago. And I went to attended prep school at the Von Steuben Science Center. I completed college in 3 years at the University of Illinois, Chicago. I completed a fellowship at Harvard University. I then attended Rush Medical College and received my MD degree and completed my psychiatry residency at the Illinois State Psychiatric Institute in Chicago. I've worked at staff psychiatrist for numerous city-run health clinics, mental health clinics, when back in the 80s when Chicago actually had those in existence. I worked at the Bobby Wright Comprehensive Mental Health Center. I also worked at Pontiac and Joliet Correctional Facilities. And I've also been a medical director of a child and psychiatric facility in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. And then I went ahead and started a practice of my own in Anderson, Indiana. And that's where this story actually takes place. It is a region of central Indiana, just north of Indianapolis, affectionately referred to as Klan country. I was the first Black psychiatrist in history to ever open a practice in Madison County. And Anderson, the city of Anderson, is the seat of that county. And I was lured there under false pretenses to come and open a private practice. Once I arrived, everything that they had promised me didn't happen. And I was compelled under some unusual circumstance to sign off on a very lucrative insurance policy naming the hospital as beneficiary. With that said, they didn't have an office when I arrived, so I ended up working just a few hours a week with an older physician who was in the terminal phase of cancer. But nevertheless, I found an abandoned building and started practice there. What happened was the practice started filling up. At about 7 months, an Indian doctor who had been there for 18 years attended my birthday party. I didn't invite him. I don't even know how he knew about it. But he came and he gave me a couple of gifts and he pulled me to the side and told me something that was bone chilling. And he said, Dr. Johnson, we lured you here to start a practice. However, you were really brought here to work for me. I want you to close your practice and refer all your patients to my clinic, and I want you to work for me. My thing is, why should I be your servant to you? We have the same degree. We have the same potential. I have an office, you have an office. You've been here longer. but this whole thing of being somebody's servant. And so I thought about it for a moment, and my office manager was a native of Anderson. Her dad was a pillar of the community and was good friends with the most senior judge there. And when I brought it to her attention, she told me something that only somebody with inside information would know. And she said, oh, if he's under FBI investigation, multi-million-dollar Medicaid, Medicare fraud operation with the hospital. If you get involved, Dr. Johnson, after the smoke's clear, when the FBI comes down on him, they're going to have a backroom deal, and guess who's going to be left holding the bag? You will be.
Wow, quite interesting.
You will be left holding the bag. After that, I had a number of unusual situations. My office was burglarized. I started had one gentleman, a psychiatrist who was on the board of directors, called me up and wanted me to take my Rolodex of all of my clients and make up phony psychiatric petitions and have them involuntarily committed to their hospital. And I told him, he said, just call the police up and tell them who you are. They'll come pick them up at their home, bring them to the hospital. I thought it was madcap. I said, you have to be mad. I'm not going to do that. He said, well, we're only going to keep them for one day. We'll have another psychiatrist evaluate them. They'll let them go within 24 hours. I said, no way. So then he threatens me. He said, look, first of all, I asked him, how do he know the police would go along with that? And he made a revelation. He said, we own the police department. He said, all of the commanders and all of the people that retire from the Anderson Police Department come to the hospital to work security. So I said, whoa. So he told me, he told me in so many words that they were going to have a peer review on me because I wouldn't go along with that. So hung up. A couple of weeks later, I received a notice from the president saying a contractual agreement was terminated. No cause was given. I didn't care at that point because what happened was when I first arrived, there was a black dentist who had been there for 30 years, and he started taking me to Alpha Phi Alpha meetings down in Indianapolis. As a result, I met a psychologist who was part of a group, a psychology group, and they needed a psychiatrist in order to hospitalize their patients. I joined that group. And so I was moving my operation out of there to Indianapolis because he asked me during the banquet when I met all of the partners, they asked me, Dr. Johnson, why did you open a practice up there? Don't you know that's Klan territory? I didn't know. And so when I joined them and everything, I started I hired a lawyer from Indianapolis because I didn't know what the next step was. When I told one of their snitches, they said, they're coming after your license now. So I made sure that I went down there and hired a lawyer just for that. Then I started having some other bizarre things happening to me. I had clients told me that my name came up over the sheriff's dispatch late at night to give my location. I was in Chicago and they broadcast. They had never heard that before on a police frequency. So I knew that something was going on. Well, I had a state trooper come to my home in early June, and she told me that there was a contract on my life.
What year? What year was this?
This was 1990.
Okay.
In June of 1990. Okay. Now, this was one thing we have to put into context so that the public understand. We didn't have cell phones then. We only had landlines. I know it's hard to believe a time when we didn't use these things, but we didn't have cell phones. We had landlines. And so during the meeting I had with her, she told me that those involved would be off-duty Anderson policemen and county sheriff deputies. And the game was to stage me in a car crash to make it appear as an accident. So I stayed home. And that late Sunday night in my underwear, I told my fiance at the time, you fly down here and help me get an apartment in Indianapolis. So that Monday, I was supposed to get up early and meet her at the airport at 5 a.m. But fate had it so that I dozed off to sleep and looked up and there was a man standing in my bedroom window.
Oh, I see.
And when I opened my door, he attacked me. I thought I had a Second Amendment right to protect myself. But I found out once he was hooked up, and they took me out. They had a warrant already set up for me. As soon as I called the police to my home, they came there with a Mississippi Davis warrant. And I asked them, how'd you get a warrant this fast? I just called you like 40 seconds ago.
Wow.
Yes. And so I ended up in jail, charged with murder with no bond for 22 months. 2 lawyers from Anderson got on the defense team over my objection. I tried to fire them and they wouldn't process the paperwork.
Oh.
And one of them was the former deputy chief prosecutor. He was white. And the other one was a Negro that I later found out he was allegedly, he had some substance problems, but he filed a notice of appearance as my attorney on June the 1st. I didn't even know the man. I found that out in the records. So this here was a well-planned conspiracy.
Oh.
How do you file a notice of appearance on behalf of someone you never met, who never paid you a penny? It was not labeled as pro bono, which means somebody had to pay him. And I didn't know that, so I couldn't get rid of the guy. So I ended up.
Dickens. Dr. Johnson, I want to just first of all do an identifier. You're listening to Omnibus Roundtable Television.
Okay, you want me to identify?
An exclusive interview with Dr. Van Johnson.
Okay.
Omnibus Roundtable Television, the one and only. Now, Dr. Van Johnson.
Okay.
We got you all the way to 22 months in prison. Now tell us, because this is a snapshot, what was the litigation? How did you at least get out of that situation and get out of jail?
I'm going to tell you, during trial, they had mostly 11 whites, and they had one black lady, and they found me innocent of murder. But they found me, but they convicted me of a much lesser manslaughter conviction. Okay? Now, one thing that's important about this is what they told the jury about me that was shocking. They said that I was inherently criminal, and that I shot him because he disturbed my leisure.
How were you inherently criminal?
Inherently criminal.
How? What
They
in
just,
your record indicated you had been inherently
I
criminal?
had never had anything on my record.
Oh my.
Black makes you inherently criminal in America.
We were making it up as they went along.
Yes. And so the Supreme Court threw it out. Said, you just
Indiana Supreme Court.
Indiana Supreme Court threw it out. So they didn't have no case. However, they knew that it's easy to convict a black man in America with an all-white jury. There is no threshold that they have to prove to convict you if you're black. All they have to do is seat 12 whites. So what they did was, the second time around, they took me from the prison, put me in a jail cell for 6 months, didn't say nothing to me. I was put in a dungeon separated from everyone in the jail. I couldn't communicate because they didn't let me get my phone books. I didn't have no money to use the phone. One day, they just took me in the court with jail clothes on, that big old beard, this or that. I hadn't had a shave, hadn't had a haircut in 6 months, hadn't seen nobody, no mail for 6 months. The place they put me in was one of the filthiest places. They just hid me away. Now, guess who they had as the jury? They had 12 old white men that had average age looked to be at least 65 or 70. And they all looked like they were members of the same VFW outpost, whatever. They was in World War II or something. So I knew when I walked in there, and they didn't show them no photographic evidence or the crime scene video. This was 2.5 days, and basically this time they said that it was negligence, act of negligence. Well, I wondered why didn't they show any evidence. Come to find out, when I filed a petition for post-conviction relief, the judge told me all the evidence in your case disappeared. Now, can you imagine them losing all the evidence in OJ's case?
prosecutorial misconduct.
Exactly. All of it disappeared.
Wow.
Because
Well, listen, I want to stop for just a minute and do a
Okay.
message in the fire. This is Omnibus Roundtable Television with an exclusive interview with world-renowned Black psychiatrist, Dr. Van Johnson. Now, as we move into this last segment, because this is a snapshot, tell me about this book, The Legal Lynching.
The legal
How
lynching.
it came of a Black psychiatrist, how it came about, and tell us something good. What is your positive as a psychiatrist, as a citizen, as a crusader for justice, as a pioneering in modern times? What is your take on what is good that will come out of this, and what lessons are to be learned and have been learned?
We're going to realize that we are going to have to operate as a team, or we're going to lose by default. All these other groups are operating as a team.
Yes.
And we have a rodent infestation among our people. We just have too many rats running around. I'm serious.
Wow.
I'm serious, man. For any Black lawyer to take any money to help set up a Black doctor was something that was hard for me to grasp. What is wrong with this guy?
Yes.
To make you, and he graduated from Notre Dame living in a condemned building.
Oh, wow.
He was doing bad. He had a raggedy car. He took my automobile, put 70,000 miles on it before selling it. So we got this Judas thing, and this here, mainly this book is an intelligence report on this country. And finally, you will see that they don't only go after people who are not educated or so-called the usual suspects. They're after the learned individuals because they don't want us to have leaders. See, and then this is the hypocrisy of the country, is they'll say we want you to be all you could be, but in reality, they don't want that. They don't. Every time that we have built success, Wall Street, they had Wilmington, Durham, Charlotte, all of these Black Wall Streets before Black Wall Street in Greenwood. What did they do? Soon as they us become a success and become sovereign and not dependent on them, then they come after you. Look at all the successful Blacks who own construction companies. Most people don't know it. A lot of elite Blacks now with money don't come on the media because they don't want to be known, because it has been shown that a number of them had planes, and all of a sudden their planes drop out the sky after they got new big contracts. Example would be that happened at the Detroit airport. A Black company had won a contract to extend some of the runways and work on that, lucrative. The guy who headed that company had an airplane. He had been flying for years. And within, I think, a year after that contract, one day gets up, flying, plane fall out the sky. This happened, this was repeated 4 times that they had, I think it was in the New Yorker magazine, Jelani Cobb of New York Magazine. I think he had did that article where I might be wrong, but it was some years ago, and I remember this here. Everybody who wants to be independent and do their thing, that's why they won't ever give us reparations. You know why? Because our natural tendency would be, we'll come together. By us not being dependent on them, we would leave them alone. And we would come like we did in segregation. Segregation helped us in a sense that it forced us to get along. We didn't have all these shootings in segregation. We didn't kill each other like this.
That is a strong point, Doctor. That's a very strong point.
Think about it.
I want to go back to Tell Me Something Good time. But before that, I want you to tell them how they can get in contact with you, what the status of your book is right now, and then let's leave the show with something positive to say about what the outcome will be, particularly for our young people.
The young people will then be able to look at this as an intelligence report, and they'll be able to look at these institutions and these people, and then they would see the red flags, and they will realize that we need to stick together. All of this stuff about running away from each other and I'm going to the suburbs, I can't stand my people no more. We got to get out of that, and we got to just hang together because they're hanging us separately. Yeah. And so this here would be something that makes them optimistic in seeing someone live through the greatest diabolical trap they've set up for a person.
Mm. Now, how do people get in contact with you?
Oh,
what are you doing with your book right now? I understand you're in a certain phase of publishing it.
Okay, this is the thing. I want to do a shout out to one of the big 4 publishers. Please, if you, I want to sign up with you or Third World Press. But right now we have a literary agency. They have did the book cover. They were supposed to do a comprehensive edit.
Do you have a copy of that book cover that you want to show us?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's hold it up the way we had it before, a little bit higher. Perfect. Move it over a little bit to your right. And then come up. Slowly come up. Pull it up. Pull it back from yourself. And then pull it up. Lift it up. All right. Slowly. Keep going. Back. Up. All right. The legal slang. I can see black. I can't see the bottom after black. Pull it up a little more. Okay. Van Johnson. All right. Now pull it to your right a little bit over. A little bit more. Don't be afraid. Keep going. Okay. But stop. Now come up just a little bit. Lift it up. Straight up. Stop. Okay. There it is, folks. The legal lynching of a Black psychiatrist. Okay. We saw it. Thank you very much.
Now, they can get a hold of me at BigSir _BIGSIR_blue BLUE at yahoo.com.
Okay, we're going to do that again, one letter at a time.
Okay. BIGSIR_blue BLUE at yahoo.com.
All right.
And the status of it is we're still waiting. Been waiting since March, and whoever picks this up, they got a jewel. So I hope that representatives from the big
I got back old investigative reporter Lionel Nixon. I'm giving them hell. I'm picking up the phone. They don't want to talk. They got to do what they're supposed to do. It ain't over until we win, my friend. I want to thank you for this interview as we end the show. I'm going to give Wanda a few of her thoughts to express, and then you got the last word, and we're out of here.
It's a pleasure to have heard you discuss what happened to you this evening. And
Thank you.
I know that a lot of people, we will get a lot of calls about this because I'm sure similar things have happened to many of us. But thank you so much for sharing. And I look forward to us doing a series on your situation.
And also, please send me a copy because I have a lot of people who've called in the last hour saying, forward that thing to me. Where can we see it? Family and my brothers and sisters, they all are interested. They all have now come together. I'm going to tell you one last thing before I go. Okay. One thing that it's unfortunate to see what happened to Mr. George Floyd. However, that had brought a lot of Black families together because people asked me, what took you so long? What took your family so long to take this now and embrace it? Because we were believing their narrative, and with these cameras now, they can no longer do what they did and then give a false narrative. There's so many of us back in my day who, the police would come out, something happened. Oh, he did such and such. what did we do? We believed it because we didn't have no objective evidence. Now, these cell phone cameras is taking cover off a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
And it's also freeing people from these wrongful convictions. They're letting people out of jail every day now.
Yes.
And this is sad because I think that it should be a stronger term than wrongful conviction. That's just too petite. It's too soft of a term, wrongful.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's much more than that. You're talking about time.
That's right.
Well,
You're talking about money.
Dr. Van Johnson, you make some strong, educated points. And we look forward to talking with you many more times on Omnibus Roundtable Television. Remember, my friend, we got your back, and it ain't over.
Hey, thank you. Hey, I'm smiling because I know that this is the beginning of it.
Yes, it is.
All right, now.
Yes, it is. Have a great night. And
You have a great. Thank you for having me.
Thank
All
you.
right.
See you
Bye-bye.
next time. All right.